11.
Okay. So that sounds like 7 patrols a day. If we're going at, that's 11, it's not December, but it's the first 11 months, that's 200, that's divide that by 11, that's about 200 per month, and about, you divide by 30, that's about 7 a day.
Okay.
Okay, that sounds like a very high number of patrols.
Well, each tour is mandated to do them, and the supervisor tracks them not only by visiting personally, but they're mandated to make, there are 3 entries at least that are made when somebody does a vertical patrol. In the officer's memo book, in the command log,
Right.
and well, that supervisor is supposed to carry that in his or her log also. One of the things I'm comfortable saying is that these patrols are being done.
And that's the part that I'm not so sure about.
Okay.
So, because I've asked Island House residents about this, seeing a public safety officer somewhere patrolling in the building is pretty rare, and doing 7 a day, that sounds like a very high number, to be, largely invisible on that. And that's also 7 hours, well, a little less, of patrolling if it's being done properly.
You have a you're both in Island House. Have you seen it?
I've seen it totally, and actually I was going to bring a question. I've seen new officers, and they're doing very intensive, and I'm just my question is.
Well, why don't you hold your question when we?
So the answer is yes. I've seen it, and I've seen it on numerous occasions.
Right. Well, I think there are other residents who disagree, so we're going to
Well,
try and find out the facts.
Okay, that's extremely subjective in my view. I at least have documentation that
I'm going to look for documentation too. That
Okay.
seems like a very, very high number.
Okay, and can you just tell us what are they doing? Because we used to wonder, what are they doing on their walkthroughs? Well, on the vertical patrol at this point, what do they do on the patrol? They just do visuals, 4/7. I mean, what do they do? Are they trying doors?
No. When I exit and entry doors, yes. Certainly not apartment doors.
Stairwell.
But it's stairwells is a big part of it, because that's where the complaints of
The HVAC
and,
stairwells, any
Right.
crevice, if you will, or
Right.
any place that a person can.
I had my
individually
HVAC just set on fire last week.
But the requirements, contractual requirements for vertical
510.
patrol.
It was a big.
So these are regular things independent of any particular complaint or something?
Yes, these will occur whether there's a complaint or not. If there is a complaint, and we have several, 580, 4th floor, that we often have to send extra help to. And we've actually had officers assigned to a particular floor for several hours because of the amount of activity there that's being reported. But the ones I'm speaking about now are without incident, without
Regular.
Yes.
And it entails mostly going up and down the stairwells and
Yes.
and covering the entrances and exits.
Yes.
And most of I assume probably occasionally you get some kind of domestic violence situation, but in general, the most common thing is probably pot smoking.
Yeah, pot smoking or kids just hanging out, which upset people. I mean, they make noise. This particular age group that I was talking about before, I mean, the older guys and gals too sometimes, as far as the congregating and looking for a place to go maybe to keep warm. But that's it's generally noise and marijuana related.
Noise, marijuana.
Yeah. Noise, number one, and marijuana to a lesser degree.
Those don't meet the contractual requirements of what you're supposed to do for a vertical patrol.
Okay,
Island House has specific requirements.
What is?
Island House has specific requirements with RIOC for our public safety services on what you're supposed to do for vertical patrol.
Okay.
Okay, and that doesn't sound like it's meeting those requirements.
And
Okay.
what are they?
I'll tell you what. So in the interest of moving on, I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
and make sure that it's being done exactly as it's
Because you,
laid out in the document.
because in essence, you need to walk through every floor in the building to do and see every door for a vertical patrol.
I didn't say they weren't doing that, I mean, I just gave some examples.
Because at one point you had said something that they were supposed to be checking the door.
No, I just visually checking, if
Okay.
they see a door open,
But that's
the
what
only
he
way
said.
they can see, the only way they can, I'm not gonna get into the contractual provisions, but basically, the only way you can accomplish that is to walk through every floor, and in order to do that, it takes about 45 minutes to complete that, so if they're being done 7 times a day, that's what I'm saying, you're spending approximately 7 or whatever, 6 hours, on that, and that seems like a very high number when, certainly I'm not seeing, 6 hours of officers, and I'm there, every day.
All right, well,
Okay, I mean,
something.
like I said, I'll
But you
check.
said you do the halls, because I see you guys in my
Absolutely,
halls. I not see you in the
And they're-
stairs, I see you in the halls, and I see, I happen to live on a floor through, so maybe that's,
Yes.
but I see you in the halls.
And the intention is to do exactly what Frank said, every tour and every time they're supposed to do the verticals, but I can't say that they never pulled away. If there's a larger event, like a fire, we've had a few of them lately, or some other large disturbance, they're gonna be pulled. That doesn't mean they don't go back there, but it's completed most days and most tours.
And how many officers are on each tour again?
Uh,
Generally, day versus evening, overnight? Are they all the same or more?
The difference could be maybe 2. I'm going to say between 6 and 9.
Okay.
I'm just curious, how, as opposed to complaint-based, when you dispatch somebody because of a specific complaint, as opposed to the everyday vertical patrols, how many incidents do you have to resolve one way or other? Telling people to move on, or extreme case arresting somebody from one versus the other? In other words, I'm just trying for my own understanding to know how useful the normal vertical patrols are. Do you actually ever run into like a burglary being planned in the stairway or something like that?
Not recently. I mean, we haven't had a burglary in a long time.
I mean, I just said that
But
as
no,
one example, but anything.
Most of what we find are younger people hanging out in the hallways, and we would do the same that we would do if it was based on a complaint. We would ask them to move because, 4 or 5 kids making noise and, there are some folks that call us that just don't want to see anybody around their floor, and that's, I guess, their prerogative, but, sometimes they start throwing a ball around, and that's disruptive to people. So that's the type of stuff that we encounter. We sometimes encounter, an area where it is apparent that there was some marijuana being smoked, but, and we've made a few arrests like that, but, there aren't really an inordinate amount of encounters.
So,
You give summonses for marijuana, do you is the policy citywide now to give summonses as opposed to arresting people?
The same policy for the city.
Yeah.
The possession
Okay.
is not a crime.
Right, so if you
Smoking
you
public.
catch this kid smoking pot in
Yes.
this area, you'll give him a summons, or
Yes.
as opposed to, okay.
What about coming from someone else's apartment into your apartment? What do you do for that?
What do you mean?
And we've had, no, in other words, the apartment adjoining you, there may be people that are smoking reefer, and it'll come through the vent, I've heard it come through everything, including the outlets.
Yeah.
Now, and one issue was an island house. Now, we had a man come down and he said that it's going into my child's bedroom. We have limited authority there, but we will go up and knock on the door and ask for, some kind of courtesy. But, that's really with the management,
Where I used to live, I used to smoke cigarette smoke, but that was in my small bathroom in my room, and I closed that up with duct tape, I closed that completely. But now this, I moved recently, so now it's the main bathroom, I'm getting that smell. And I have a license to do childcare. If I get a pop-up visit from the state and they smell that in my house, my license is gone.
Yeah. Have you brought it to management yet?
No.
I think you should.
Yeah, management's the right.
Also, RIRA is about to start a survey to residents from all the buildings, and that would be one of the questions where, you know, you can put your input, and then RIRA as a whole will take care of things like that, besides you going straight to the
Yeah.
management.
I'm also wondering, these kids